All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. With the start of the 2023 NFL season just a couple of days away, I've been talking about each division and how I expect things to break down. And here, this is the final installment of my divisional breakdown. As last, but certainly not least, I'm going to be talking about the NFC North. This was a division in 2022 that saw just one team make the postseason from there. As it was the Minnesota Vikings. The Lions lost a tiebreaker to the Seattle Seahawks, which is why they didn't get to the postseason. And of course, after the Green Bay Packers fell short of making the postseason, it's the start of a new era there as Aaron Rodgers is no longer the quarterback. But with all of these things in mind, who has what it takes to win the NFC North this season? Now, speaking of those Lions, will they be able to live up to the preseason hype? A lot of people have been talking about the Lions based off of their finish from last season. Remember, Detroit got off to that 1-6 start last year, but they won 8 out of their final 10. And of course, it was only the losing out on a tiebreaker to Seattle, which was the difference in them not making the postseason. Head coach Dan Campbell appears to be building something in the Motor City, and he's got some excitement going on there. Veteran quarterback Jared Goff, who was once an afterthought or once looked at as a throw in, if you will, when the Lions and Rams made the trade a couple of years ago for quarterbacks. He really, to me, I think he's playing some of his best football in the NFL right now. Very comfortable, flying under the radar, if you will, because there's no pressure in Detroit playing quarterback for the Lions. Now, one thing is going to be interesting. The Lions lost their top two rushers from last season's team, but a lot of people are high on the rookie running back out of Alabama in Jameer Gibbs. You bring veteran wide receiver Marvin Jones back to the fold because he had, in my opinion, his most productive years in the NFL while playing for the Lions. Of course, he was catching passes then from Matt Stafford. You got wide receiver Amon St. Brown and now Jamison Williams, who, of course, last year began the season on the pup list, as he was recovering from an injury that he suffered in college, a knee injury. Now, I think, he should be up to speed right now with this squad. You got the veteran center, the Pro Bowler Frank Ragnow, as well as the youngster at offensive tackle and Penny Sewell. So the Lions do have the potential to do some things on offense this year. Now, defensively, it's going to be year number two for Aiden Hutchinson. And, to me, will he take that next step? He was a high pick for the Lions back in 2022. So will he take that next step and be that stud defensive end? We've got to wait and see. And of course, for these young Lions, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to grow up and will they be up for the challenge because things change when nobody expects anything out of you, as opposed to when you are expected to do big things. And right now, the Lions are expected to do some big things. Obviously, they've got Kansas City on Thursday night at Arrowhead. The Chiefs are the defending champs, so we want to see how the Lions look there. And then they host the Seahawks in week number two. Remember, this was the game that basically prevented the Lions from making a postseason last year. And then those last three games for the Lions on their schedule: week 16 at Minnesota, week 17 at Dallas, and then week 18, they host Minnesota. And like I've said, the NFL, they've done this thing with the schedule this year where they've really compacted it with some divisional teams where you know what, they're meeting each other twice in a 3 to 4 week stretch. Let's see how the Lions are up for that challenge this year. And speaking of the team who won the division last year, the Minnesota Vikings. Now, they enjoyed a championship caliber regular season only to be one and done in January in the playoffs. And after that disappointing home loss to the New York Giants in the wild card round, you know, how are they going to change the dynamic, the Vikings, for this upcoming season? Now, to me, I think the Vikings got worse because they just released Dalvin Cook, and to me, it just made no sense. You don't release a Pro Bowl caliber running back like Dalvin Cook unless you have somebody waiting in the wings, and the Vikings just don't have that guy to replace them. I think they're putting more on quarterback Kirk Cousins and, of course, the playmaking ability of Justin Jefferson. But then veteran Adam Thielen is no longer there. He's with the Carolina Panthers. And, of course, Thielen's role in this offense continued to, take a step back, with the emergence of Justin Jefferson. So it's going to be interesting to see. You got Justin Jefferson at wide receiver. We know what he can do. And then you have tight end TJ Hawkinson at who's another pass catching option in this offense. So the Vikings, I think they're going to be very, very pass heavy this year. But the one thing is you have to try to avoid being one dimensional because the analytics will say this and that, but at the end of the day, you still got to find a way to run the football. I don't care who you are. So aside from the issues in their running game, the Vikings also have to find a way to fix their defense. They were 31st in pass defense last season. They've got a new defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. You still got Pro Bowl linebacker Daniil Hunter. But can the Vikings improve enough to really be a force if they're able to make the postseason come January? We got to wait and see. For me, the two games that I have circled on Minnesota's schedule, those two contests towards the end of the season with the Lions, I think those two games right there could come down to determining who is able to win this division. Now, for the Chicago Bears, they finished with the worst record in the NFL last year. And hopefully, for their sake, the only way to go is up as they're trying to get back on that road to respectability. First and foremost, and I talked about this last season, the Bears have to find a way to put talent around quarterback Justin Fields. Your quarterback should not be your leading rusher. And then on top of that, the Bears did not have one wide receiver last season even reach 600 yards. So that just gives you an idea of how bad things were and why Justin Fields was running as much as he was. And, some people are trying to sour on Justin Fields. I'll tell you like this, we don't know what he can be at the NFL level due to the fact that the Bears have not put the talent around him. They've basically turned this young man into a running back as opposed to a quarterback. Let's see what happens if he can get some talent around him. Now, the Bears did make a trade with the Carolina Panthers to get wide receiver DJ Moore, and that should open things up for tight end Cole Kmet. They're hopeful that a guy like Chase Claypool can do some things, and they have to find a way to improve because Chicago was 28th in the NFL last year in yards. That's not going to get it done. Defensively, you bring in the former Buffalo Bill and Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker. And for Matt Eberflus, like I said before, there's only one way to go for this team, and that's up. For me, the one game that I have circled for the Bears, they host the Green Bay Packers this Sunday. Two teams that are looking to get back on track. And let's see if the Bears can win that game and gain some traction. I mean, then again, they won their home opener last year. They beat San Francisco in week number one. But, that really wasn't a harbinger of things to come because that season got away from them very quickly. And then finally with the Packers, obviously, like I talked about it at the beginning, the Aaron Rodgers era in Green Bay is officially over. He got traded to the Jets this offseason. And for the first time since 2007, when it was Brett Favre, the Packers now have a quarterback starting on the center, not named Aaron Rodgers. And it's going to be Jordan Love. And Jordan Love, he has 3 years under his belt with the Packers. Of course, he was taken in the first round a couple of years ago. And I know some people are trying to downplay it, and some people are going to say Jordan Love can only be the best Jordan Love that he can be. Absolutely. But he still has big shoes to fill. And I say that because the last two guys that were the starting quarterbacks for the Green Bay Packers, one is a Hall of Famer, the other is well on his way to being a Hall of Famer. Both of them have Super Bowl wins to their credit. Both of them are multiple time MVPs. And this is the gold standard for what this organization has been at this position for the last 30 years. So, fairly or unfairly, Jordan Love is going to be compared to those guys. However, he still has to go out there and try to be the best Jordan Love that he can be. He can't worry about Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. And of course, that comes down to his head coach, Matt LaFleur. Now, for Matt LaFleur, obviously, he's worked with Jordan Love for several years. And obviously, there's some familiarity with this system, just like it was for Aaron Rodgers when he took over for Brett Favre. So you have the veteran on the offensive line and David Bakhtiari. You have veteran running backs in AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. And then you got a Pro Bowler at corner in Jair Alexander. I think this season could be reminiscent of what it was for the Packers in 2008. They're going to have some ups and downs as they try to figure things out with Jordan Love. And obviously, Jordan Love is going to be their guy going forward. And again, the fact that he's been with them for several years, they know his strengths and weaknesses as far as the Packers go. So now it's just about putting the talent around Jordan Love. And of course, Green Bay being the smallest market in the NFL, they really don't attract a lot of free agents there. So what do you have to do? You got to do it through the draft. So it's going to be interesting to see going forward how the Packers are able to build around Jordan Love. And like I said, for the Bears, week one this Sunday, when the Bears and Packers get it on, I really want to see how Jordan Love looks. He's no longer just keeping the seat warm for an Aaron Rodgers who's injured. No, this is his show. And the Green Bay Packers are only going to go as far as Jordan Love can take them. So when it's all said and done, I think the Packers are clearly in rebuilding mode. The Bears are still trying to figure it out. They have to get some talent around Justin Fields. I think the kid can play, but he can't do it by himself. I think this division comes down to the Vikings and the Lions. And even though that the Vikings are going to take a step back this season, I still believe that they are the team to beat in this division. It's one of those things, no disrespect to the Lions. I'm just not sure if they can live up to the hype. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid as of yet. Maybe, they proved me wrong during the regular season, but as of yet, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on them. The Vikings won't be as dominant as they were last season, but I still feel that they have what it takes to squeak out another division title. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.